are joined by Middle East expert and co-founder of Middle East 24, Major retired Dan Feferman. Hello, Dan. Good to see you again.
Good to see you, too.
So lots happened since our last interview just 2 days ago. From the goings-on from overnight to this morning, how do you think Iranians will respond, if at all, with Trump, castigating Israel, saying we're taking it too far?
I think the Iranians are going to look at it as a tactical win for themselves. It was clear from the outset of these hostilities, and when it showed that their capabilities were so weak in really being able to respond in any kind of meaningful way to Israel, that their missiles, while they did have a tremendous impact, certainly on Israeli daily life, and they murdered 30 Israeli civilians, that they were not able to certainly defend themselves and not have any meaningful impact on Israel's defense or strategic picture. And so they were happy, and they're happy to kind of take the loss, save face, which is what they did with that last minute multiple barrages at Israel. And if they're smart, and they usually are smart, they're radical, but they are pragmatic and smart, they will take the loss, pass it off as a win, and seek to take Trump's statement as sort of a last-second tactical victory for them, and look to end this round of fighting, because they did not come out of this in better shape than they went into this.
What would it take, though, from their standpoint, because we just had our experts talking to it, doesn't mean that stuff isn't hidden, that more uranium enrichment isn't somewhere else that maybe we don't publicly know about. What would it take, even if it's not one missile going toward the north, for Trump to change his tune and potentially have to act again, as well as Israel?
You would have to see a massive Iranian retaliation or attacks on Israel. You would have to see massive Iranian or Iranian proxy attacks on U.S. interests in the region. Right now, the Trump himself and the Trump administration did exactly what they wanted to do. They wanted to have pinpoint significant strikes only on Iran's nuclear program and call it a day. And I think Iran realizes that it is in no position to really fight back against America, certainly, and really not even against Israel at this point. And so everyone's kind of looking for an off-ramp here. Iran will take its losses. The U.S. and Israel want to take their wins and end this round of fighting. Of course, the war is not over. This war did not start a week ago. This is a war that started on October 7th. From Israel's perspective, this is actually a war that started many years ago, and there's been a shadow war waging. And we need to remember to view this escalation in the context of a broader, decades-long regional war by Iran and its proxies against Israel, and by Israel against Iran's nuclear and ballistic missile programs. And so what we saw was a very short-term escalation. Israel and the United States achieved a massive gain, I would say even a strategic gain, but this is certainly not the end of this war. We're going to see Iran try to rebuild. We're going to see Iran try to maybe build deeper in more hidden places, and they're going to, first of all, kind of collect their losses, assess the situation. They probably don't know how much of the nuclear program was damaged at this point. And it's going to take a lot and a long time for them to rebuild. We're talking about decades of progress by the Iranians on the nuclear program. We're talking about anywhere from $500 billion to, I've seen even estimates of $1 trillion spent on this nuclear program. Iran, after all, is a radical messianic actor, and so its long-term actions are not logical of what a sovereign state does. They are a cause with a nation and not a nation with a cause.
So also, with that said, I mean, this is no surprise that they will, never stop, no matter how far the setback is. This is something that's gone on for generations. But as someone like yourself that's very involved in the Middle East and the potential, future within the Middle East and the Abraham Accords, how will this agreement, the fact that Trump does want to continue with that dialogue, how much pressure from other countries in the Middle East would have an impact on Iran kind of stepping down and saying, all right, we're not going to go forward with anything? Or is that dreaming?
Yeah, I think what we've been seeing from what I can say is maybe our new regional friends in the region, or the moderates, some of them are not yet our friends, or maybe there are kind of, we coordinate behind the scenes. everyone in the region is quietly behind the scenes cheering and applauding Israel and then the U.S.'s attack on Iran's nuclear program. Everyone is happy to see Iran having been taken down a peg or even 2 or 3 pegs strategically, because Iran, they all know, they all understand, and this was one of the reasons, this was one of the factors of them entering into the Abraham Accords and upgrading their strategic alliance with the United States and initiating this sort of strategic alliance with Israel, is that Iran ultimately is the threat to regional stability and to their own sovereignty. And so they understand that in Iran, with a full nuclear weapons program and with an advanced ballistic missile program, threatens them. And Iran that is less capable of doing that is in their interest. On the other hand, they also need to see regional quiet. You saw, we were able to see, and I talked to my colleagues and friends in Bahrain and in the UAE and other places in the Gulf, there was a lot of panic. They're not used to being bombarded. And so they want to see quiet, they want to see de-escalation. And my sense is that they will use their strong economic ties with Iran to try to calm things down, because at the end of the day, the Saudis, the Emiratis, and the other Gulf states need what we call in Hebrew sheket ta'asiyati. They need a sort of a quiet for the sake of doing business and for economic prosperity. And so as much as they're happy with the results of these attacks, they don't like to see these escalations. It is unsettling for them, and in the short term, it is bad for business. So they're happy with the results. They're also happy to try to play an intermediary role to try to bring things down, to bring down the escalation. And at the end of the day, they want to see business and regional interconnectivity and not escalations and wars.
All right. Thank you very much. As always, a Middle East expert and co-founder of Middle East 24, Major Retired Dan Feferman. Always appreciate it.